Ready for another deep dive? Today we're tackling LPL Financial Holdings, Inc. They're a giant in the world of independent broker-dealers, the biggest in the nation, actually. And luckily for us, we've got their 10K reports from 2020 through 2023 right here, ready to be cracked open.
What's interesting about LPL is, well, they're not just about the broker-dealer part of things, you know? It's like they've built this whole system to support financial advisors. You start digging into their reports and you see this network of different subsidiaries, each one with its own role in how LPL operates.
That's like an ecosystem.
Exactly, like an ecosystem.
Okay, so we've got LPL Financial LLC, which seems to handle the core stuff, like making sure transactions go through smoothly. Then there's Fortigent. Now, they're focused on a different kind of client, right? More, let's say, well-off.
High net worth, yeah. Fortigent's all about specialized solutions, consulting, that sort of thing. And then, of course, you've got LPL Insurance Associates, because what's a financial plan without a bit of insurance in the mix?
Makes sense. But there's this other phrase that pops up a lot when you look at LPL, advisor-focused.
Right, and that's key to their whole philosophy. They're not just a platform. They see themselves as partners to these financial advisors. They know that when their advisors succeed, well, LPL succeeds too.
And that seems to be where their model gets interesting. They talk a lot about giving advisors more freedom, more choices, compared to the traditional way of doing things. Like,
Yeah.
advisors have more say in how they set up shop, what they offer their clients.
That's the independent model they're going for. But of course, more freedom also means, well, you know, maybe some new challenges pop up too.
Right, because it's not just about having options. It's about knowing how to handle those options responsibly.
Exactly. And LPL's not shying away from that. In their 10K reports, they lay out the risks that come with this model, especially when it comes to things like supervision and making sure everyone's following those ever-changing regulations.
Like with great freedom comes great responsibility, that sort of thing.
You got it. Though in this case, it's more like with greater advisor freedom comes a greater need for oversight. And speaking of risks, LPL is really upfront about the challenges they face.
So let's talk about some of those what-if scenarios. What are some of the big ones they're keeping an eye on?
Well, for one, they're very aware that their success is heavily tied to their financial advisors. They even call it out specifically in the 2020 report, actually. Attracting new advisors is important, sure, but keeping those advisors happy and, well, successful, that's vital. They're the lifeblood of how LPL makes money.
In fact, they've even got this whole loan program specifically for their advisors.
Oh, right. Yeah, I saw that too.
It's in the 2020 report.
All right.
Advisors can use those loans to, like, buy out other practices or even plan for when they want to retire.
Interesting. So it's not just about the financial products LPL offers to clients. It's about showing their advisors they're invested in their long-term success too. Smart move.
Definitely. But let's move on to another big risk factor they're dealing with. Regulations.
Ah, yes. The ever-present regulations.
The financial world is full of them. And LPL knows any little change could mean big adjustments for them.
Oh, absolutely. And we're not just talking about, you know, the regulations themselves, which are complex enough, right? It's also about how those regulations are interpreted, how they're enforced. That whole landscape shifts all the time. It's a lot to navigate.
It's like they're on a boat in a constantly changing ocean, having to adjust their sails to keep moving forward.
Perfect analogy. And then on top of all that, there's the whole cybersecurity thing.
Right, because with so much data flowing through their systems,
They're a prime target, no question.
their 2020 report actually does a good job of, really laying out what a cyber attack could mean for them.
It's not just hypothetical for them, is it?
Not at all. And that's why they put so much emphasis on security measures. It's about protecting LPL, sure, but also their advisors and those advisors' clients. And of course, you can't talk about risks without mentioning market volatility.
Especially after 2020, right? The pandemic really threw things for a loop.
Yeah, the 2020 report really highlights how those market downturns can hit them hard, how it can even change how clients act.
Makes sense. People get nervous when the market's rocky, but that's when having a good financial advisor is even more important, isn't it? Someone to talk you off the ledge, so to speak.
Exactly. When things get uncertain, you want guidance, someone you trust to help you make sense of it all. And that's where those strong advisor relationships LPL focuses on become even more crucial.
You're right. You're right. You know, it's interesting to me how LPL actually puts a dollar amount on the relationships they have with their advisors.
Yeah, how do you even begin to measure something like that? Trust, collaboration, it doesn't seem quantifiable.
Right. But their annual reports actually give a peek into their thought process on this. And it's fascinating how much weight they give to things like acquisitions.
Speaking of which, that Waddell and Reed acquisition back in 2021, that was huge for LPL, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely a power play. Their 2021 report frames it as the strategic win, bringing in a bunch of new advisors, new clients, expansion, basically. They were making a statement with that one.
So acquisitions are definitely a key part of how they're planning to grow.
Yeah.
But what else are they doing to, stay ahead of the game?
Well, they're not afraid to shake things up with how they bring advisors into the fold. Their partnership with M&T Bank Corporation in 2022 is a good example of that.
Right. That one, which they detail in their 2022 report, really shows they're thinking about the bigger picture, how the whole advisor landscape is changing,
Yeah.
and they want to be a part of it in a big way.
And that deal they made to bring Prudential Advisors' assets onto their platform just seals the deal. They're going for it, and they've got the muscle to back it up.
It'll be interesting to see what they do next. So, we were talking about LPL staying ahead of the game, and it got me thinking about something that's been popping up more and more in the financial world. AI.
Yes. Artificial intelligence, the buzzword of the moment, some might say.
But it's more than just hype, right? I mean, think about the potential here. AI could totally change how financial advice is given, how investment decisions are made. It's a big deal.
Absolutely. And it's not just theoretical anymore. LPL's 2023 report even touches on it, actually. They're clearly paying attention to how important technology and especially data analytics are becoming in their world.
Right. They're already using some pretty sophisticated tools. I mean, tracking market trends, analyzing client portfolios, you name it. But AI, that feels like a whole other level.
Oh, for sure. But just imagine algorithms that can process tons of data, picking out patterns, spotting opportunities that humans might miss entirely. Or even simpler, think about chatbots, available 24/7, giving personalized financial guidance.
It's like having a whole team of virtual financial experts at your beck and call.
Exactly. Though, of course, like with any powerful tool, you've got to be careful how you use it. There are implications to consider.
Right. It's not just about can we, but should we.
Right. Precisely. And LPL seems to get that. They talk a lot about their commitment to cybersecurity, to protecting data, to playing by the rules.
And it can't just be about the technology itself. It's got to be about the people using it too, right?
Exactly. Because at the heart of it, financial advice, it's about people. It's about understanding their needs, their goals, their dreams even, not just numbers on a screen.
It's about trust, about having someone guide you through some of life's biggest decisions.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the financial advisors themselves. How will all this AI stuff change their jobs?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Are they going to get replaced by robots?
Some people think so, but I'm more optimistic, I think. I actually see AI as something that can make advisors even more valuable, not less.
How so?
Well, think about it. What if AI could take over all the tedious, time-consuming tasks that advisors have to deal with, all that number crunching, the paperwork, all that stuff? It would free them up to do what they do best. Building relationships, offering strategic guidance, really connecting with their clients.
So it's not about AI versus advisors. It's about AI helping advisors.
Exactly. It's about using technology to be even better at what they already do. And the advisors who embrace these tools, who adapt to how things are changing, they're the ones who are going to thrive in this new world.
It's all about finding that balance, isn't it? Human expertise working together with technological innovation.
And that's where I think LPL has a real opportunity. They're in a unique position to help advisors navigate this whole AI thing, providing the tools, the training, the resources they need to succeed.
Because it's not just about the technology itself, is it? It's about knowing how to use it effectively, ethically, responsibly.
And how to leverage it to build even stronger relationships with clients. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, so we've talked about LPL's business model, the risks they face, even how AI might shake things up in their world. But I know what some of you are thinking.
The numbers.
Exactly. We've got to dig into those financials, at least a little.
Sounds good to me.
Now, we're not going to get too deep in the weeds here, but there are some key takeaways from those 10Ks that really help paint a picture of LPL's overall story.
And one thing that jumps out right away is their revenue growth. It's pretty consistent. Even with all the ups and downs in the market, the regulatory changes, all that, they've managed to keep that revenue moving in the right direction.
Which, to me, says a lot about their ability to, roll with the punches, adapt, keep things moving. Their 2023 report does a good job of breaking it down, too, showing where that revenue is coming from. And it's not just one thing, is it?
Nope, they've got their fingers in a lot of pies. Advisory fees, commissions, those asset-based fees, even service fees. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket, that's for sure.
They're diversified, which is usually a good sign, right?
Definitely. And it's not like they're just chasing bigger numbers either. Profitability is clearly a big focus for them too. Their 2022 report, I remember they talked about how they were working on being more efficient, streamlining things, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and getting the most bang for their buck, right?
Exactly. And they're pretty smart about how they're using their capital too. They're putting money towards things like acquisitions, like we talked about, and those tech upgrades. But they're also giving back to their shareholders through dividends and stuff like that. It's a balancing act.
Strategic, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like they're playing chess, thinking several moves ahead. And importantly, they're not messing around with debt. They have access to credit, sure, but they're not over-leveraged, which gives them stability.
Which is crucial in the finance world. It can be a roller coaster sometimes. They seem to understand that it's not just about riding the wave, it's about building a ship that can handle any weather.
Well said.
Yeah.
And, looking back at all these reports, there's one thing that really stands out to me, that LPL. They adapt. New regulations pop up, the market throws a curveball, even technology changes faster than ever, and they just seem to, roll with it.
They're like a chameleon, blending into the changing environment. And that adaptability is probably a big part of how they've gotten to be so successful.
I think so, too. So as we wrap things up here, we're left with a picture of LPL as a company that's not just successful, but also resilient, innovative, definitely adaptable. They're a major player in the financial services industry, that's for sure.
Definitely. And as you continue your own deep dive into LPL, maybe with a fresh perspective on those 10K reports, think about this. How will this big push towards sustainable investing, in the environmental, social, and governance stuff, how will that impact companies like LPL and all those financial advisors they work with?
That's something that's only going to get bigger.
Yeah.
And it's going to touch every part of the financial world in some way.
Exactly. Keep those questions coming.
Keep digging for those answers, and thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been fun.
Until next time.